You're listening to Your Daily Dungeon, a Dungeons & Dragons podcast by Your Daily Nerd.
Hey guys, welcome back to Your Daily Dungeon, proudly presented by Your Daily Nerd. We bring to you today a special episode with a special guest at that as well. We are doing a heist-themed one-shot that will be separated into two episodes in kind of commemoration and excitement to that as well for the release of Dragon's Heist. We actually might be a little behind its release. I can't really say off the top of my head, but I feel like we are. Irregardless, however you'd like to say it, even if you are wrong, we're really excited to present Lord's Height Heist. It's a designed one-shot I have built around a couple of different things that I found off of Reddit and other things of my own machinations. Should you be interested in learning more about it, you can always contact us at our website. Kyle will drop a link into this post if you have any questions or wish to learn more about the actual module here. So let's go ahead and get right into it. We're going to do character introductions and a brief history about who you are and what you've been up to. We'll start with Kyle, your character.
Hey everybody, you remember me, I'm Kyle. Today I'm going to be playing a character by the name of James O'Byrne. James, he is a half-elf rogue of the Mastermind subclass. Kind of brief description of him, kind of very average build with a goatee and kind of sandy blonde hair, both on his goatee and in his regular hair. Honestly, his most distinguishing clothing pieces that he wears is like this really weird, almost kind of think Constantine type duster travel cloak. What else? Anything else, or do you want to?
Does he look like a bitch?
No, he does not look like a bitch.
Alrighty. So next we'll go with Rachel's character.
Hi, I'm Rachel. Yeah. My character, her name is Liz Walker, and she is a wood elf. She has dark brown hair and sun-kissed skin with lots of freckles. She's got, I'm not going to say an exotic look, but she does have a nice septum piercing and all sorts of piercings in her ears and turquoise plugs. So, she kind of has an interesting family dynamic, and her dad, who adopted her, is a dragonborn, and his wife is a human. So she speaks all sorts of languages and likes all sorts of deities. And she's going to be our party ranger. So is that good?
Yeah, and you also have a companion with you, I believe, correct?
Yes, I have a panther with armor on. His name is Maddox. So he's fun sometimes.
If not a little stupid.
He's a little dumb. But...
Rachel is our special guest today, by the way. She is the illustrator for our regular podcast, and if you want to catch any of her illustrations and drawings, we'll be releasing them pretty soon, I imagine. We only have a couple of characters left to finish the commission work on. We're really excited to reveal those. Moving on. Next, Eric, go ahead and talk about your character some.
Alright, my name is Eric. Y'all know me. I play Mel. I'm awesome. Thank you. I am playing someone that I don't normally play. I'm playing a monk, a tabaxi monk. So kind of like a cat-like creature. My name is Silence of the Wind.
That is an edgy name, and I love it.
Right. Yeah. So my name is Silence of the Wind. I'm playing a shadow monk. If you're curious. Yeah, I'm really excited to play it.
Is that a monk out of Xanathar's everything? What is that?
No, Shadow Monk is actually in the
Player's Handbook? Oh, yeah. Very interesting. Does anybody... Oh, yeah. Kyle, you're playing as Xanathar's subclass, huh?
Yes, I am. Mastermind is a subclass out of Xanathar's.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Oh, if you want to play a Tabaxi, the Tabaxi race is in Vola's Guide of Monsters. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm. You can also find this information on the, I believe, the Adventurers Guild accredited website. where it's all, I believe, legally, uh, I guess you could say enumerated. Go ahead and describe what your character looks like.
Okay, so I'm pretty short. I'm like 5 foot. 5 foot. I have brown eyes and orange. I'm covered in fur, and my fur is orange and black, like black stripes all over me.
So you're like a tiger, kind of.
Yeah, that's what I was getting. It's kind of
what you're going for. All right,
Yeah.
Dylan, you're up next. Who's your character? Who are you?
So my character is a high elf druid named Thalion Carendel. He kind of got sick of the politics of the high elves, and so he kind of one day, and he is sort of a mage for hire, I guess would be the term. He kind of picks up odd jobs here and there, just to kind of make a little bit of money, and he moves around a lot.
Just to clarify, he is a druid, yes?
So he has like really, really red hair, like green eyes. He's average height, and he wears cloth armor. It's like a hide armor.
Okay. So, and then finally, we'll have an NPC that is of great relevance in this campaign as well. It'll be like a contact for you guys, and we'll probably be kind of traipsing around with you to kind of help act as an informant and things like that as well. And as a dispenser of exposition, my ever favorite tool, we have just the NPC who's basically going to be your bitch in case you need him to be. Make sense?
Absolutely.
I like to hear.
Anyway, his name is Hephaestus Evagil. He is a black dragonborn sorcerer. And he's not just any sorcerer, he's actually a shadow sorcerer. So he's been touched by the Shadowfell and can wield shadow magic. As such, he carries a variety of different tools on him to kind of dispense the shadowy magic. And he has a shadow beast that he's able to summon at his own whim. It is basically a shadow drake. It's a medium-sized beast, about the same size as Maddox almost in length. Only it's like a shadowy red dragon type creature. And his name for it is Kilgore. So, you guys find yourselves walking into the basement of the Traipsing Pony, a small tavern in the wide of Baldur's Gate. You descend into the darkened dungeon-like entrance of this tavern. The wooden warmth of the upstairs and the hearth kind of keep you guys cool in this nice wintry time fades away into cold stone and the sounds of dripping water from above. As you come to a wooden door with a metal slider about eye level for those of you who stand at about 5'8". As you guys are standing there in the hallway, you see the Dragonborn kind of lean forward and kind of like rap on the door a couple times and turns and looks at your character, Kyle, and he says, "Oh, Baron, I'm not exactly sure that she's here right now." He kind of eyeballs the door because the waiting has gotten to be about 30 seconds after he rapped on it.
Well, I mean, you never know. Maybe she's just in the back.
He says, "Aren't we in the back?"
You know,
Kinda
the
like
back,
looks-
the back of the back.
It's not a thing.
Hey, shut up.
You see him kind of look down at the door, and he kind of cocks an eyebrow at you, and he casts knock on the door. He kind of swings adjacent for a moment, and he like looks back at you, and looks back at the rest of the group, who may or may not have noticed this, depending on your perception. If it's 12 or higher, you would have seen him do this.
Ooh, I know.
Oh yeah.
So the door swings open, and he kind of looks back at you guys, and he says, Oh, look at that! It popped open, sarcastically.
So were we like summoned here?
You were.
Okay. So I don't I don't know these people, right?
You don't know anybody here, no.
Okay. I'm very suspicious of everybody.
Okay.
But
So he kind of reaches down and like opens the door, and you see sitting on the table what looks to be an elven woman, with her legs kind of like crossed at the knee, and her foot in one of the chairs. Her bum is seated upon the table itself, and she says, "Good evening, gentlemen, and madams. Anybody here also a woman other than Liz?"
no, I'm gonna play man.
Okay. She says, "Please come in."
Did you hear us knocking? We were knocking for a little bit.
She looks at you and says, "Tell me, Mr. O'Byrne, is it? I believe.
Yeah.
What kind of profession do you find yourselves in frequently? That of the ones who kick down the door, knock on it politely awaiting an entrance, or ones to find your own ways in?"
I usually find it best with employers to have some common courtesy. You know, not give them the courtesy that I'd be giving the people that they hire me to deal with.
She looks over at Hephaestus and says, "Perhaps you should have your cohorts not open doors without permission, then." Hephaestus opens his mouth to reply, and then looks at you and shuts up. O'Byrne. She kind of like flitters her eyes to the rest of the group and kind of motions to the chairs around her.
I go up and
You see that there's a high chair for you.
there's a high chair. Okay.
Unless you want a scratching post.
If she's got one.
She's got like a cat tree set up for you.
How'd you know? No, I go up to the chair and I like sit cross-legged on it.
Okay. After you guys kind of file in and take your seats, she kind of like turns around, spins back on the heel of her boot, and plops down into her chair and says, "So, how many of you are brushed up on current events? Roll a history check."
Ian, I'm not going to because I wouldn't know anything.
Okay.
I'm a recluse.
I got a 10.
18.
I have an 8.
And 12 from Hephaestus. So Hephaestus kind of cocks an eyebrow and leans forward and looks over at Thalion, Thalion, you know that she must certainly be speaking of the attack on Baldur's Gate by the Dracolich, known as Halastrix.
Of course, the attack of the Dracolich. I know all about it.
She like
save.
leans. She leans forward and says, "Some would think you'd know all about it. Perhaps there's always a bit more you could learn. Yeah, you're not adverse to knowledge, Mr. Thalion, are you?"
Can you repeat that?
She says, "You're not a bit adverse to knowledge at all, are you, Mr. Thalion?
I love to learn.
Then you will be taking a great liking to the many things I have to tell you this evening." She leans forward on the table some more, and you see her like start to like slowly reach underneath the table with one of her hands.
I don't like that.
Thalion says, "Whoa! At least buy me a drink first."
You see her kind of like flitter like to you, and her hair kind of falls down in her face. She kind of like moves her hair out with like a tilt of her head, and she comes back up from underneath the table with a silver platter of what looks to be like honey buns.
from under the table?
Don't question me.
Where else do you get your food? Gosh.
So she sets a bunch of Texas Roadhouse buns on the table.
Yes.
Everybody starts chowing down immediately.
Yeah.
She puts the honey cinnamon butter on the table.
Oh my god.
Oh boy.
Can we just all just like stop recording right now and just like meet up at Texas Roadhouse?
Ian, I'm actually just sitting there and like with my arms crossed, I'm waiting for everybody else to eat first, and I'll wait like 2 or 3 minutes till everybody's eaten enough, to know that it's not poison, because I'm just super suspicious, and then I take one.
James just goes, "No thanks, I've already eaten."
I'm good. I'm gonna take one. I'm gonna take 2.
You see,
Gonna
you
take
see.
one.
Hephaestus,
Smell it.
Hephaestus can have my share of this.
You see him kind of like cock an eyebrow at you, and he like leans forward with one of his horns and pierces through it with the horn. Kind of like leans back on the table, and he kind of looks at it, sticking on his horn. And he's like, "Oh, now there's like butter on my horn. Didn't think this through."
You really didn't, friend, did you?
He like pulls it off, and you see that like a little bit of bread stuck on the end of his horn too, and he's like, "Oh, that's not good. Oh, I look stupid now." He looks down at the bun and starts nibbling on it while looking down at his hands. You see the woman kind of like cock an eyebrow and she says, "Are you? Never mind. I'm sure you have many questions, but let's start with my name. You may call me Fiona Galway." She leans forward and says, "I know that you are Elizabeth, right? Elizabeth Walker?" And then
That would be me.
Hephaestus Avigil, Thalion, Mr. O'Byrne. I've been told that you prefer to be formalized, Mr. O'Byrne. Is that all right with you, or do you actually go by your first name?
It depends on the company that I keep, but until we get to know each other better, Mr. O'Byrne will be just fine.
She says, "All business. I appreciate that about a man." You see her kind of like rub her index and thumb together thoughtfully. She looks over at the tabaxi and says, "You've been awfully quiet."
Well, I've been waiting to see what we're here for.
2 men, all business. Indeed, I find myself amongst rare company. The dragon I mentioned, Halistrix. He was killed. Yes, I assume you would know. His defeat was a great victory for the city of Baldur's Gate. A group of brave adventurers, and I guess you could say perhaps a platoon, roughly 50 men or so, assaulted his dungeon. His death was not quick and easy, but was facilitated by very, very powerful warriors, mages alike. She leans back and says, "Perhaps you would know then about the murder, or supposed one at that, of the great wizard Melodian, the man responsible for the felling blow of Halistrix." Roll history checks.
Wouldn't know.
That is a natural 20.
Ian, I basically just showed up at Baldur's Gate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a wanderer, and a bit of a recluse. I'm not very good with people, so
Sure.
so I don't keep up with current events at all.
That's fine. So, I heard James say he got a nat 20.
Natural 20.
Mm-hmm.
I rolled a 5.
What about Thalion?
Teen.
All right. So Thalion, Hephaestus, and I suppose James are the only ones who know about this. But Melodian was found dead in his house about a week after the killing of Halastrix and the destruction of the Dragolich's phylactery. He collected a great many of the dragon's goods in his own house, and nothing was stolen, but instead was sold at auction.
Dang.
She looks at you guys with a thoughtful ponderance and says, "Do you know, beyond a phylactery, an item that a Dracolich would hold dearly? Think carefully about this." Roll intelligence checks.
That is a natural 1. Plus 2, 3.
11.
16.
8.
I think. Let me check. Yeah, my intelligence 10.
Ooh, natural 20 on Hephaestus. So, Liz, you kind of have an idea, and you're about to open your mouth when Hephaestus kind of interrupts, like your motion, and he says, "A Necronomicon, of course. The study of undead. Surely it must be something as simple as and obvious as that. It's a Necronomicon, a book about necromancy. He's a Dracolich. He's basically a lich but a dragon. It seems obvious." And she says, "It does seem obvious. Perhaps an item even worth killing a man over, yes?" You see
Yes.
Hephaestus kind of lean back in his chair and look over at you, Liz. And he kind of like purses his dragon lips and says, "So what does Melodian's death have to do with you, ma'am?" You see her kind of place her hand on the desk and she leans forward. Who has a passive perception of 14?
Oh, me.
Oh.
I've got,
Just 14 or above 14?
14 and above.
Me.
I've got a passive of 16.
Okay. What about you, Thalion?
I got a passive of 17.
Okay.
Jerk.
You all notice that she has a ring upon her finger.
She's got a ring upon her finger?
Mm-hmm.
Making detail about the ring
Yeah.
that
It
any
looks
of us
to be
would
like
recognize.
it looks like a plain gold band on her left ring finger.
Also a wedding band.
Ian, am I sitting next to her?
You are.
I'm gonna sleight of hand that bitch off.
You're,
Oh my god.
Yes.
you are trying to steal her wedding ring from our employer.
Yes.
Does she say that's her wedding ring?
It's a plain gold band on her left hand.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna sleight of hand.
He's a tabaxi. Why would he care?
Yeah.
I don't even- What is a wedding ring? All right, let's see. Let's hope this goes well. Nat 20.
No, shut the fuck up.
Dude.
Nat 20. That's a 27.
So,
Oh my god.
when she kind of curls her fingers back around the bottom of the table, you really rapidly before her finger even hits the bottom of the table. As they kind of do that motion of that in order digitized click, which is like before her so her pinky finger hits the table, and then her ring is traveling that that half an inch. You flick in there, grab the ring off her finger, and do you just pocket it, or you hold it in your hand, or what do you do with it?
I hold it in my hand like in my fist.
Okay.
And it doesn't even look like I moved. It's just I have my arms crossed. It doesn't even look like I moved. I just was like,
And none of us probably would have noticed this either, huh?
Oh my gosh.
if y'all did, I'd be very surprised.
I mean, we'd have to have a passive perception of 27?
20 something plus. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, she kind of leans on the chair on her forearms, and you see her bring her hand back up on top of the table. And she says, "Yes, well, if you haven't noticed, I happen to be missing a individual in my life. My husband is Melodian.
Oh.
Insult to injury, Eric. Dude is murdered and you stole her wedding ring.
This is all part of the plan. Okay? Just wait. You just wait. Just wait to see what happens. Okay?
When he, and by he I mean the dragon, was pursued and destroyed, his hoard of loot was split up amongst the slayers, and my husband returned home with goods and was later found dead that same week while I was away. I've been gone for 3 years studying the arts of, I suppose you could say, espionage and investigation, as well as arcane investigations. I've developed a formula for locating and finding magic items and removing them from places. I intend to take back one particular item that was stolen from my husband's house upon his murder, and I do not use the word stolen lightly. Just because it has been sold at auction does not mean it belongs to that man rightfully. Which is why you're all here today. Each one of you has a particular asset that I believe would be useful in robbing Mr. Baron Ludwig of his goods. She kind of like flicks an eye at all of you, studying each one of you. If you have any qualms about theft or even murder from a very, very evil man, wicked in all designs, leave and do not look over your shoulder.
Kind of just look over my shoulder to see if I'm kind of looking around to see if anybody's getting up.
So at this point, Ian, I'm like theft, and I take out the ring,
Mhm.
and I start twirling into my hand, like over my knuckles. Not
Mhm.
much of a problem with, and I toss the ring back to her.
You throw the ring, and it kind of like pauses midair as she looks at it. The ring kind of hovers in midair as she looks at it, and you see her kind of hold her finger out, and the ring kind of like floats back onto her ring finger, and says, "It's a good thing you didn't try to leave this plane of existence with that. That would have been quite messy. I didn't bring a mop."
Oh.
She says, "Locating magic items, after all." She kind of like flicks it. She says, "Like, if I hadn't known the ring had magically left my person, you would have definitely gotten away with that."
Magic? I don't use magic. Magic is
She
for the
kind of she cocks an eyebrow and says, "Perhaps. I do not doubt the skill of somebody who is of mundane, I suppose you could say, skills, but it does not hurt to have a boom goes the dynamite man around, right?" She kind of looks over at Hephaestus. He says, "No, I don't just boom things. I also kaboom things. There's a difference." She kind of like rolls her eyes and says, "I don't know if you're stupid or funny."
Can't it be both?
She says, "Anyway, Baron Ludwig's manor is a sprawling estate with a large outer area encompassed by several different locations of interest. I suspect that Ludwig's obsession with collecting fine artifacts and placing them about his estate is enough incentive for the average thief to get in there. So he's done a good job of hiding them, often in plain sight. But he's also paranoid. Baron Ludwig is I guess you could say, commander-in-chief of the Burning Fist, or the Flaming Fist Guild. Are you perhaps familiar with the guard that operates within Baldur's Gate? Any of you?"
No. I'm not.
It's safe to say that those of you city folk would probably know of them, at the very least.
Know the
Okay.
name. I've dabbled a little bit, but yeah.
I guess I
Heard of
would.
the guy.
Never heard of the guy. Yes, well, Mr. Ludwig was head of the defense of Baldur's Gate. And while I believe that he's done good work protecting the city from the dragon, I think it was upon the backs of far greater men, like my husband. So, we're here today to not only rob Ludwig of his most prized possession, but also of all respect the city has of him.
Fair
So,
enough.
she leans and says, his book is on display at a party coming tomorrow evening. Which means you've got plenty of time to go and find a way into the house, or perhaps get an invitation into the party, or some mixture of the two. But I have some information on the grounds themselves. Perhaps one of you might want to write it down. You see ink ink quills, ink wells with quills and parchments suddenly appear in front of all of you.
Cool.
Liz is going to reach into her backpack and she's going to pull out her own stuff because she kind of has a fetish for map making. So she excitedly pulls out 5 different kinds of parchment and she's got 2 different ink things set up.
She says, I have to ask you about a couple different questions, perhaps things that will assist you in finding ways in and out of the actual location itself. I know of a couple different things that would perhaps help you. I can point out a couple of entrances, a couple of exits, maybe some secret doors here, or even perhaps a detailed interior layout. But my magic is limited for only a couple of things. I can only give you 2 of these, so I ask that you think carefully. I could also perhaps do something along the lines of a interesting distraction, or perhaps make keys for a certain floor for you right this moment. Or, if you trust me, I'll think of something to help you along the way. So would you like to have me divine the entrances or the exits? Would you like me to divine secret doors within the house? Have a detailed layout of the actual house, like a floor plan? Or perhaps a key or distraction?
All right, let's talk it over. What do y'all think?
I like the idea of knowing the escape.
Yeah, I think knowing how to get in and out is going to be very, very crucial.
Don't forget that you have the option to canvas as well, so you can circumvent this. Or you can get the entrances without having to canvas too thoroughly. It's up to you.
I think, in my personal opinion, a detailed floor plan is very important, and then a possible distraction is usually my go-to, or maybe secret entrances. I guess it kind of all depends on what we think about it. She's telling us about this party that's going down. Infiltrating the party is always an option as well.
Well, too bad we don't have
Mr. O'Byrne, how are you in...
How am I in what? Picking locks? What is it for thieves' tools? Is it dexterity? Dexterity plus proficiency?
Yeah, very typically.
All right. I mean, I get a +8 to my thieves' tools, so I mean, that's not bad. What?
Says that in character.
No. Yeah. Yeah, I feel pretty confident in my lock picking abilities, and then worst comes to worst, we have Hephaestus cast knock, and that opens the door for us.
I'm sneaky.
I am also very sneaky.
Yeah. So we have...
I can
Hephaestus says, I think it'd be a matter of simplicity for me to forge documents for us to get in the front door. But I would need information on the party itself. Who's coming and who's going, before I can forge signatures of something of the like. She kind of chuckles and says, an option, indeed.
Also, if there's an entrance that's high up, I can reach that.
So I guess the real question... So are we in agreement that a detailed floor plan would be pretty good to have?
Liz really likes that idea.
I do too.
Thalion, what are you thinking? Detailed floor plan?
Yeah, I agree. That's good. Sounds good.
All right, so we're choosing detailed floor plan for sure.
So that's one.
Mm-hmm.
You see her kind of like think momentarily, and Liz, you see one of your parchments glows, and an outline of the actual house is etched onto them for you to draw.
How exciting!
And then, all right, so that's one. What do you guys think about What do you guys think about a distraction?
I guess that would be pretty good if there's going to be a lot of people there.
Yeah, this makes me wish.
We're pretty stealthy.
Oh wait, Hephaestus is a sorcerer, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So he's pretty good at deception, and probably he's very charismatic, most likely.
He is very persuasive, pretty deceptive, and pretty intimidating.
I mean, we could use his Drake as a distraction if we wanted to.
I definitely think that I'm just thinking ahead, like having some of y'all go in the front door, and some of us go in to another location, and then meet up somewhere.
Hephaestus says, "Oh, I almost forgot to mention. I can do this." You see him kind of concentrate for a second, and you see the room is filled with a magical darkness that none of you can see through momentarily. And through the darkness, you hear the sounds of him casting a spell. He speaks in Draconic, a low guttural tone, and all of a sudden, even though in the darkness you can't see, suddenly a pair of eyes glow and then disappear, and you hear Hephaestus saying, "Liz, you're playing with your hair. Put your fingers out of there."
I put my fingers down.
Put that bun down. I'm hungry. Hephaestus starts accurately depicting what each and every one of you are doing in the darkness to indicate that he can see you even through magical darkness.
Interesting.
Ian,
Mm-hmm.
I actually speak Draconic.
I
Is
also
there
do.
and so do what he said when he was casting the spell?
He was just uttering incantations to cast darkness, and then expending sorcery points to see through the darkness. That's all he was doing.
So
Just to kind of demonstrate that he can see where others cannot.
So sounds like distraction we might actually already have covered.
Yeah, I think we can create a distraction. I don't think that's going to be a problem.
What were our other options again, real quick?
No, the exit. There are some exits are not the same as entrances. No secret doors on one floor. Or actually, so it's no all secret doors that are hidden. A detailed interior layout, which you picked. A key that is to basically keys to one floor. Or I decide something for you. I think that's it. And useful distraction, but I think you decided against that.
Do you guys want to go secret doors?
Secret doors would. Yeah. I'm for secret doors.
I guess so.
Thalion?
Time trying to find them if we know they exist.
Yeah, and I mean, we never know exactly what all we could be finding or looking for. So, if we know exactly where the layout is, if we know where the secret doors are, that's helpful. So yeah, I think we're gonna go secret doors.
Okay. Liz, on the map, you see a variety of locations and tunnels suddenly appear. You see one on the first floor inside the study appear. Looks like it leads to the basement. You see another one on the first floor that looks like it's basically an entrance that leads into what looks to be like an office on the second floor from the first floor, basically. On the second floor, Liz, you see a spiral staircase that's hidden in the what looks to be like the greenhouse built inside the second floor of the house. It looks like it leads up to the third floor. On the third floor, Liz, you see that the fireplace is a secret door as well that leads down to the second, first, and basement level.
Okay, can you repeat that last one?
There's a fireplace on the third floor inside a big meeting room, it looks like, that leads down to all floors.
Okay.
Very useful.
You also learn that there is a basement subfloor.
Very nice.
And you also now know, because I told you about that trap door, that there is a way in to the house via the basement. Okay, so she kind of relaxes for a moment, and you see her magics around her kind of like dim, and you see a single gray hair streak form in her hair. She kind of scowls and pulls it out. So she kind of glances around the room and says, "So I have a couple questions about what you'd like to know about the individuals inside the house. I can continue to work my divination magic, but it will be less clear if you understand what I mean by that. I can give you some general rough idea where they are in the house, or I can tell you something about them from what I've learned of them. I can also get an idea of what they're capable of. You also have always the option to bribe one, or perhaps blackmail one. Interrogating some of the squeamish ones would also not be a bad idea. Perhaps even stealing or planting an item upon them would be wise. Or perhaps make a friend with one easily. What can I do for you that you believe would be helpful?"
How many of these do we get? Only one?
2.
2? Okay.
Okay, so I got make a friend and plant some stuff on somebody.
I'm guessing one of the things we could probably figure out is what their security is like.
Yes.
That seems like an important one.
That's a good idea.
So you want to make a friend, basically?
Yes.
Already? So that's what I'm asking is, like, you have 8 options here. You're picking 2, and you're picking have an NPC, have an enemy, have a friendly disposition towards you.
Yes.
Okay, so there are 7 other options. What would you like to choose? There was like no location, no information, no abilities, bribe somebody, blackmail somebody, or interrogate somebody, or steal/plant an item.
I think it would be helpful to know things about them, because if we know things about them, we can therefore blackmail them ourselves.
Yeah.
Basically, the blackmail, bribe, interrogate options are you get that for free versus having to roleplay for it, which is more difficult, but you do get information on everybody as opposed to like just instantly having somebody at your beck and call.
All right, and we already have a man on the inside now because we chose that as one of our options. I think knowing abilities. What do you? Tell me what you guys are thinking.
No, knowing abilities versus knowing information is a separate thing. It's
so
like knowing their stat block versus knowing like who they are and what they do.
Okay.
I just feel like knowing who they are might give us some insight as to what they can do.
Silence of the Wind does not care much about these people and who they are and what they have and are like, you know. So he would choose like knowing like what they're good at as far as combat and stuff. So
What they're capable of.
Yeah, what they're capable of. So that way he can better react to it or avoid it if need be.
Thalion?
Totally.
Thank you for that input. Because I'm trying to decide what I think is more important.
I mean, I think that all of these things are definitely helpful.
Yeah.
So we can't really go wrong, I think. I don't think that we're going to get... I mean, she obviously wants to help us help herself, if that makes sense. So I don't think she would lead us astray with any of this information that she can provide.
Right. It's just in this moment of time, what would we want to know? And I kind of want to go with like just know who they are rather than what their abilities are. We'll find that out as we go.
So right now we have two people for who they are as far as like information about them, and
two people for no abilities.
Yeah.
So there's 5
I'll
of
just
us.
just flip a coin for the tiebreaker for Hephaestus. We'll say 1 and 3 is no information, and 2 and 4 is no abilities. It's a 3, so no information.
Okay.
Okay.
And then you guys picked friendly disposition, basically.
Yep.
What was the other one? Okay.
Down the inside.
So I will go ahead and tell you about the individuals inside the house. You're gonna get some information on them, and I'll do it in character for you so that it's more immersive. But you'll also get to decide which one of these individuals will be friendly towards you. And friendly does not necessarily mean that they're just gonna let you do whatever the fuck you want. It just means that like, hey, we're cool.
Okay.
So what we have here is she pulls out a list and kind of like slides it across the table. And she like you guys see that it's a list of individual personality traits and details and things like that. And she pulls out a parchment and kind of like folds that across the center of the table and kind of like weights down the ends of the parchment so it doesn't fold back closed. And she kind of like holds her hand on the center of the parchment. Her hand glows, and you see an image, kind of like a Harry Potter type image, like a moving picture of someone's person. Like in a basically, it's like a GIF. You know how Harry Potter basically was doing GIFs before they were a thing, but on parchment.
Right.
So you see an man with like a big handlebar mustache that kind of connects into mutton chops that kind of go down the side of his face.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of think like Colonel Mustard type stuff going on. With white hair. He's in really good shape. And he looked like he was probably pretty handsome when he was young. You recognize Baron Ludwig. And
I'm so glad because that's exactly how I pictured him in my head.
What, Colonel Mustard?
No, Baron Ludwig. When you just said his name earlier, that's like exactly how I pictured how he looked.
Oh, you hear Fiona kind of scoff and say, "He is a busy man, and I believe that his tamperings with more evil arcane energies has rapidly aged him. Baron Ludwig is only 35 age."
Jesus.
Oh my god.
Respectfully, he looks like shit.
She says, one typically is not rewarded for being a wealthy douchebag. For too long, anyway.
You know what? That's fair.
He is not a mere fool. He is actually a well-trained swordsman and an arcanist. He's coveted power for his entire life. Rising up through the rankings, he's easily traceable. Never really left Baldur's Gate. Perhaps the most interesting bit of information on him, though, is that he is a member of the Zinatharim, the Black Network. Perhaps something that you could use against him. He does hide this information, but it was easy enough to find out. Perhaps he's not that good at covering his tracks. She folds up the paper and pulls out some information. Oh, by the way, that notepad that she handed you with all the information about him basically was like his height, weight, age, etc., etc. So you'll be able to you'll see who he is. See him. Next, she unfolds basically the same process. You see a beautiful young woman with blonde hair and emerald eyes. It's braided and kind of like folds over her shoulder. And she says, "This is Elizabeth Schneider. This is Baron Ludwig's wife." You see, at this time, Hephaestus kind of leans like a cradle robber with the way he looks. And she says, "You fool, he's 35. She's 30. And he says, like, still looks like a cradle robber.
Age is just a number.
He looks at you and says, I really don't think so.
James is just rapidly shaking his head. Nope.
I mean, in this instance,
He says, okay, this one time, age is just a number because he looks old, but he's really 35. But he looks old, which kind of by default makes him also a pedophile.
That is not so. I am 121, so I'm young by elf standards, and I'd say most of my lovers have been in their early 20s, human years.
Hephaestus gags.
I say hush defensively after that. Like, I've revealed too much about myself.
I look at James and I go, as an elf, I find that offensive.
James is just over here sitting.
Yeah.
He's like the doing math above his head, like he's doing it in the air with his fingers, like carry the one. It's like trying to fit, like just trying to do it as quickly as possible to, yeah.
Hephaestus leans and goes like, Thalion, please tell me, with an elf who's about, how old did you say you were, Liz? Like 120ish? Does that put her like what, around like 18, 16 maybe even in elf years? How old are you?
Something like that. I
flutters through pages.
no. I mean, I'm in the prime of my youth, man. I'm 50.
Elf years?
50 in human years.
You would be a baby in elf years.
What?
Yeah, you might, like 120 is like the earliest adulthood age for elves in D&D.
Can I retcon that and say 120 then?
So then we're
you're
just
the same age.
totally-
Oh, we're both
yeah,
little
or
elves.
100, let's say 122. I'm like a little older.
So how old is James?
James is like 115.
Oh my god, so many wee babes.
I mean, I'm a half elf though, so I mean, like they don't like really exceed 180 though.
No, they age relatively similar.
Oh, okay.
Relatively.
They don't live as long.
So we're all young,
I'm not.
young and
Not
vivacious.
from not from my race.
Hephaestus is 25.
I just pipe in. It's like, you fools. Age is just a mindset.
You see Hephaestus kind of scratch his nose and looks at you and goes like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that you've probably died at least 8 times by this point, Cat, so age is irrelevant to you. You have multiple lives.
That's not how it works.
I'm not going to have you tell me how it works. I know how it works. I've studied. You know how many cats I adopted?
I give him the biggest glare.
Hey, I've adopted cats too. I'm referring to Maddox, who I guess is on the floor.
Yeah.
Probably like licking a table leg because he's so dumb.
Looking at table leg. He's just gnawing on the leg. It's actually a human leg.
James is starting to look around at this crew that's been assembled, and he's like, "Oh no, we are so fucked, aren't we?"
So Fiona interrupts you guys and says, "Okay, we've digressed too far.
So tell us about this Elizabeth character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a small, unassuming human woman, about 30 years of age. Interestingly enough, she's having an affair on her husband."
Hmm.
She leans and says, with Sir Sandoval Long, if you would. We'll get to him, but it's quite interesting. She's kindly and unassuming. She works for the Merchants Guild, you see. Not as a secretary, but rather as a, I guess you could say an arcanist. You see, she's a warlock.
Okay.
But it is not public knowledge that she has arcane powers. Or, I guess you could say otherworldly powers in this particular instance. I have yet to understand where she gets them from.
Can you repeat the name of the person that she's having the affair with, just so I can write that down?
Sandoval Longfellow.
Yeah, he is.
His name is more on the nose than you realize. So she kind of folds up the page and kind of like slides out a page, and this time you see a gold dragonborn male appear. He's got short, stunted fins along the side of his head, kind of like a helmet almost. And he's got kind of like spiked frills that kind of run across the backside of his head. And he's got like very short dreadlocks that hang to his neck. He's also got blue eyes that look like they're burning like fire. She says, "This is Captain Darnax Gerion. He's an esteemed warrior, a very powerful paladin, and a good friend of my husband's, my late husband's. He is, I guess you could say, Mr. Ludwig's personal guard. He is in charge of the security, and is probably one of the greatest men I've ever met. Should you come to a confrontation with him, I warn you, he is not easy." She kind of like holds out her hand, and you see her palm flicker, and she starts playing an image of the fight with the Dracolich. And you see it's like about 5 guys in an adventure party fighting. There's a wizard, etc., etc. You know, just the regular party makeup. You see this guy run up, and you see his sword glow with a mighty cast of smite as the Dracolich attempts to evade the attack. You see him sever one of the wings clean off with one swing, and on the second swing, take off a leg of the Dracolich in a mere 2 swings.
So my question, I guess, about this guy then is, if he is as good of a, you said he's was one of your husband's like closest friends and allies. What's he doing with this, for lack of a better term, sack of shit?
She looks at you and says, "If you were a clever and manipulative man and wish to be a ruler of benevolent proportions, right? Those people would think of you well. Would you not surround yourself with the greatest of individuals so that you would hide amongst them in plain sight, being a, as you say, dirtbag?"
Pretty said I said shitbag, but yeah.
Yes. Ludwig may be, I guess you could say, sloppy, but he's not a fool, and he's very clever with his words. I dare say that Darnax has no clue who he works for, as the man shrouds all of his intentions behind the guise of good for the city, which is all Darnax cares about. That And he does bear a love interest.
Mm.
Ludwig has a tendency to acquire individuals to work for him for free at the benefit of not being executed. I believe that he calls servants, but I think there is another word very akin to it.
Slaves.
She nods her head. Yes, Mr. Owen. Indeed. The handmaiden that I suppose you could say operates as guest check-in has caught the eye of Mr. Darnax. Perhaps leverage you could use against him should you need to. She says, finally, or rather, the last one that I haven't mentioned yet, Elias Chamberlain, squire to Ludwig. Handy with a blade, a bit of a novice when it comes to spells. He's a half-elf, but he's not exactly a weakling either. Perhaps most interestingly, though, is that Ludwig trusts him a great deal. So much so that he's given him keys to the house. He comes and goes as he pleases, trains with Ludwig on the weekends, and is going to be acting as his personal attendant for the party. Perhaps Elias would be someone that I think a great deal of you might enjoy speaking with, either with tongue or with blade. Finally, a Mr. Sandoval. Oh, I almost forgot. She pulls out a picture of Elias, and you see a half-elf with blonde hair and brown eyes. His hair is kind of spiked up and neatly groomed. And he's got like one lock of thick hair that kind of hangs down across his forehead. Also kind of pointed and tipped like an anime character. Somehow his hair manages to stay up without gel. He looks like he's wearing heavier armor, so he looks like he's kind of maybe being tutored by Ludwig in the same arts as him. So she pulls it away and she slides around the final image of Sandoval Longfellow. You see a halfling pop up.
That is both in character and out of character. I just want you to know.
She says, Mr. Sandoval Longfellow is a stout halfling. He's quite tall for his race, actually, standing at 4'2".
I give a chuckle to that.
Hephaestus scratches his head and goes like, okay, so we've already had one weird personal sexual encounter mentioned from our like teenage drama queen over there about, her sescapades.
That is not.
Liz, the grown-ups are talking. So.
We're all like roughly the same. All the elves are like roughly the same age.
in like in actual age terms, I guess mentally I am like way older than all of y'all.
I guess so.
I'm 60. I'm 60 years old, but I age the same as a human.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're old as dirt. What you doing here, old man? That's what I'd be thinking.
He's here getting the whippersnappers in shape.
I just want to make a bunch of Ricky Bobby references where he's just like, Silence of the Wind, I'm going to throw your war medals off the bridge. You're 60 years old, but I'll go ape shit on your ass.
So, she says, Mr. Longfellow is, I guess you could say, head of the Merchant Guild here on the Wide. And he also uses Elizabeth as a personal attendant at times. Hephaestus goes like, is that what you call somebody who cranks his knob? She kind of scowls and says, do you think that's funny? And he says, truthfully, I don't think it's funny. I think it's fucking hilarious. How pitiful do you have to be to have your wife cheat on you with a halfling? She says, he's called Longfellow for a reason. Hephaestus, like, leans back in his chair suddenly, like, nope.
Thalion slams his fist on the table and goes, "There is no way that dude is hung."
There's only one way we can get to the bottom of this. There's got to be some kind of magic parchment that shows stuff going on.
Oh my god.
Wind is just sitting there, utterly confused by this conversation.
Well, that's right. Cat's stuff just kind of shrinks back inside of them. You have no idea how long you. So, she says, "A quirk about Mr. Sandoval is that he's a bit squeamish around. I guess you could say, blood."
Alrighty.
Good to know.
Hephaestus says, "His blood or blood in general?" And she says, probably times that times two when it's his blood, I imagine.
A little column A, a little column B.
Interesting.
It'd be a shame if this affair came out into the public, I imagine. Quite the scene, yes.
Yes, definitely.
Well, I believe that's everything I have on all the individuals you'll be encountering in there that have some significance. So, moving on. As far as the book itself goes, I've encountered a couple of things that will give you some troubles. I can maybe relax some of the securities around it. Specifically the book, I mean. But I'm not entirely sure that me meddling with the book will not alter something in addition to it. Would you still like me to try?
Do we know exactly where the book is going to be?
I think she said on display, right?
On display.
Hmm.
She says, I can maybe perhaps make the book move to a separate location halfway through the party. I could also attempt to remove a security measure. Or even lessen the security. But if that's the case, there might be more guards. And then finally, I'm pretty confident if you give me some time, I could remove the security measures around the book in its entirety. But that does not guarantee that there won't be something large that's defended.
Honestly,
You get one of these.
Honestly, I would rather deal with guards than anything else.
Guards don't bother me.
Same.
I mean, honestly, it moving about halfway through the party could be a perfect opportunity for us to pick it up in transit, if you know what I mean.
Or plan around the location that it'll land in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
What do you guys think?
If we move it to a separate location, and I don't plan on walking in the front door. I'm just letting y'all know now. So,
I feel like it'd be hard to get a tabaxi in the front door and in the first place.
So, Hephaestus kind of thinks and says, yes, perhaps we could find a way outside for you to get in, Mr. Silence. Perhaps when we finish our business here, we can go and conduct a search of the estate and find a way for you to get in.
yeah, and then wherever it lands, I can just go pick it up.
Yeah,
Very, very sneaky.
that could work.
I mean, we're dealing with people who are warlocks and they're into all sorts of magic. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's not just a book that can just simply be picked up stealthily. We might need to prepare for magic and that sort of stuff.
I mean,
Absolutely.
guards don't bother me. They can't hurt what they can't see.
It's not the gods that Elizabeth is mentioning, Master Tabaxi. I imagine that it has something more to do with the magic surrounding the book itself.
Hmm.
The woman Fiona says, "Actually, I have some of that as well, but I need you to decide on what it is you plan on, what it is you'd like for the book to do, so that I can cast my magics upon it."
So, I think we're all in agreement, like moving the book to a different location, right?
I'd be
Yes.
okay with that.
All right.
Okay. So she kind of like thinks for a minute and says, "I have just the idea. I don't even think I need magic for that one." Excellent. So, as for the security measures around the book, I've done some extensive studies around it, and inside the house itself, I've seen that there are traps of all kinds on each floor to prevent you from perusing locations you should not be in.
Groovy. Groovy.
She says, "I have noticed that they are typically centered around either hidden doors, around the book itself, or in locations with an item of interest. So, I can remove magical traps from one of these floors to perhaps make it more trivial for you on that floor, or I can remove all the physical traps inside the house. Something more difficult for me to do, as there might be a greater number of them, but it would be surely beneficial to you. Not as dangerous as your average trap, you see, but greater in number. Additionally, I can reveal to you one of these items of interest with my divinations, perhaps something that will give you a great aid inside the house. The only trouble would be getting there. And then finally, I can help you in a more tangible way." You see her kind of hold her hand, and a hidden blade kind of pops up from inside of her sleeve and says, "I can infiltrate the house and perhaps weaken some of the patrols. The fun way." You see her flick the blade away.
All right, good old Assassin's Creed right there. I mean, what do y'all think?
Remove magical traps, remove physical traps, indicate the location of a magical item that'll be of great use to you, or in general weaken the patrols in the house.
And we only get one of these.
Yes.
If we
I
were-
think removing magical traps would be beneficial for our non-magical party members.
I agree.
Yeah. I can do things about physical traps. I can't do anything about the magical.
Right.
I think the only person who can is probably James, as far as magical traps go. But
Hephaestus kind of waves his hand at you.
so probably just James.
I will fireball you where you stand twice. Or sit cross-legged. Damn it, I ruined... Okay. He sits back in his chair quiet.
Like to see you try, little boy. Anyway,
You are half my little furling.
you want to go?
Yeah, I think removing magical traps will probably be the best for us.
I agree.
She says, "A wise decision. Perhaps it would maybe lighten up the load on one of the floors. You have a detailed layout of the house. Which floor would you like me to eradicate the traps on? The first one, I imagine, is where the party will be. The second one will have a variety of information for you. And the third one is, interestingly enough, only able to be even active through that hidden stairwell that you see there that Liz has found.
So,
And then in the basement."
I think the second floor.
I'm thinking the second floor as well.
Because that's
totally
probably going to be my point of interest, and maybe James, if James comes with me, not going in the front door.
So I've already kind of started like semi-assembling a plan in my head. The idea,
# mastermind.
yes, the idea that I had would be that a few of us could infiltrate the party as guests, those of us who could disguise ourselves or kind of get in some kind of like fancier gear, and then some of like our stealthy people, specifically like Silence of the Wind, like sneak in through like the second floor and start casing the place, whereas those of us who are party or guest members can kind of like, act like we're having a good time, but we're also casing the joint from the inside as well, while like during the actual heist.
Additionally, Hephaestus leans in and says, "A few of us would make a better distraction than others. I know that my hound, Kilgore, would be of great danger to many of the guests, and would be quite terrifying to see."
True. Kilgore would also make a nice distraction when we are making our escape, especially bringing in when, like, say he shows up in the middle of the party on the first floor, as we already have everything in our hands and we're trying to make our escape. Everybody goes insane. It's mass chaos in the party, and we sneak out.
He says, "I make the distraction. Liz, you could run crowd control, prevent people from leaving certain areas with your magics, and even deter some of the guards from running in."
Okay.
How's this?
She says, Hephaestus, not to mention a panther. Never underestimate the ferocity of a wild beast.
True.
As stupid as Maddox is, I love no doubt, but he is stupid, Liz. I hope you understand this.
I look down at him and he is still licking the leg of the table. And I just kind of smile and I'm like, yeah, he's great for some things, not others.
I find it very offensive that you consider this beast to be your pet.
I
I don't think it's a pet. It's more like a companion.
He's a companion, but he probably thinks I'm pretty dumb, to be honest. He likes me. I mean, he licks my face, so I don't think he's unhappy with me.
Yeah, that's what they call a pet. It's pretty offensive.
But he likes it.
Salad and scratch, and
Wrong brother.
Hephaestus kind of scratches his head and says, "I would think that perhaps what I have is more of a pet and hers is more of an equivalent. I don't know too much about rangers, but I know that druids look upon themselves as one with nature. I don't think when he wild shapes, motioning towards Thalion, he is transforming into a pet. He's transforming into another persona. What would you call that, elf?"
I've heard some people refer to it as a fursona. I'm not really sure what that means, but yeah, I would say it's another myself.
Oh my god.
And Miss Thalion, what exactly is your fursona, if you don't mind me asking?
Sometimes I like to be a wolf. And then other times I'll transform into something like a Myconid sovereign or something. How I'm feeling.
Yeah, that's very specific.
I like those shrooms, dig?
Any octopi? You ever feel like an octopi?
I have dabbled.
Hephaestus makes a face like. You see Fiona say, "I'd very much like to see that, but back to business, yes? That's why we're here."
I mean, so what are y'all thinking about that plan, though?
I think that plan is good, and you're talking about disabling the magic second floor. I was just going to suggest, out of character, is there any way that I could roll Ian to look at the map and analyze which might be the best floor, like the most complicated one? Or...
Yes, you may use your cartographer's tools to do so, which is going to be for you a proficiency check plus wisdom.
Okay. So that was a 19, I think.
19 total. So you're examining it, and you notice that the predominant amount of magical traps are centered on the third floor, which is actually even magically hidden from the rest of the house. You can't get to it. It looks like there's details inside the actual infrastructure of the house about a magical trap upon the door to the meeting room for whatever reason. You don't know what could be in there that would center such a massive rune. Additionally, there are magic traps littered about the basement level, and there is one particularly strong one on the second floor that's about as equivalent in strength to the top floor.
Okay, I'm going to pass that knowledge onto the party, pointing it out on the map, stuff like that. Looking cool.
Interesting point there, Liz. I So the third floor is hidden off from everybody. It has the most magic runes, like traps there. That would imply to me that there is something possibly even more important than the Necronomicon on that floor.
Hephaestus says, "You're going to move the book, is that right, Fiona?" And she nods and says, "Where's the book going?" She says, "Up." That's all I can say. Hephaestus glances at the rest of the table.
Well, if it's going to just go up, then I feel like the third floor might be good to remove.
To the ceiling? To the roof?
I'm guessing just up to another floor.
Does it go into Jesus?
Maybe.
So the third floor traps, you guys decide?
Yeah, I guess we'll do third floor.
Yeah.
That might just be the best use of what we've chosen.
Ian, I look at the map.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the master bedroom?
So the master bedroom is on the third.
It's on the third floor.
Is on the third floor. The third floor is basically three smaller rooms. You see that the hidden staircase kind of connects up into a room and then opens up into a smaller, what looks to be like perhaps guest room or sitting area of some sort. And then that connects into a hallway directly to the left of that. You walk down the hallway, going right, and then heading up to that. And then the master bedroom connects finally on the right side of it. And it looks to be like the second largest room on this floor. Basically, Eric, the third floor is separated into 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms and a long hallway that kind of separates the meeting room on that third floor to the rest of the rooms. The hallway is L-shaped, and the 3 smaller rooms are to the right of the L. Well, actually, it's an upside-down L, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, so like there's like a long stick that kind of runs up and then connects to the master bedroom, and then underneath the actual top of the underneath the underneath the upside down portion of this L is the meeting room with the fireplace inside of it.
Gotcha.
So, you see the master bedroom up there on the third floor.
All right.
Alrighty. Any other questions? Does anybody else want to overlook the map?
I think I just did, but that's...
Anybody else? I mean, does anybody else want to look specific on the map?
Yeah, I mean, is there not anything specific, but is there any like that I'm looking for? But I just kind of want to take a look over on that second floor, just like see if there's anything like super, anything that like really stands out to me on the second floor.
So the second floor has the same floor plan as the first one, relatively speaking, meaning that kind of like it's shaped the same way.
Okay.
While the third floor completely is shaped just utterly different. The second floor has a long greenhouse, kind of bulbing out from the side of it, that runs along the right wall. On the top center portion, going all the way over to the left side, is just a main kind of like landing that comes up from the stairwell from the first floor. There is a connected room there that's like a sitting room, and it connects to what looks to be like a gazebo that's on the outside. It's a 2-story gazebo that connects out there onto the actual like estate lands, with like a 100-foot walkway stretching from the house to the gazebo, providing an easy access to the second floor from outside. Then you see there's a guest bedroom and an office, and that office is where Liz mentioned the heavy amount of magical ruins protecting the entrance. The office is the second largest room on the second floor. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions about the layout while I'm here? Nope. Okay. So moving on, she says, So there is one thing we have not touched on yet, and that's your plan for escape. Perhaps the most important of them all. So tell me, I can do a variety of, perhaps making it easier or harder, depending on the situation you find yourselves in. First, I should be able to reveal a path to escape from the house. I cannot open it necessarily with the same action, but you will be able to find it. Much easier. I can open a path. You will not know which one it is, but will not resist you upon finding it. Thirdly, I should be able to ensure that the path is unguarded for you, for a swift escape. I can then perhaps even provide a distraction for you. I can also provide a getaway vehicle, if you would. Vehicle, she open italicizes, close italicizes. She says, I could perhaps give you some useful supplies in the middle of the party, something that would greatly benefit you for the escape. Then I could perhaps even ensure that the town guard won't come. And if you trust me, I could perhaps do something of my own whim. So 8 options, you can pick 2 of them. Reveal a path, open a path, ensure that a path is unguarded, provide a distraction, a getaway quote-unquote vehicle, supplies that will be useful for your escape, town guards won't come, or a wild card option where she decides how she's going to help you.
Wild card sounds fun.
That does sound fun, but getaway vehicle sounds safe.
I agree, and I like the idea of knowing, not necessarily that it's knowing exactly.
Knowing that it's unguarded, you said?
Knowing exactly where we need to go. Option where she reveals the path to us.
Yeah. Wild card does sound fun though.
So what are you guys thinking?
Well, what if we do getaway vehicle and wild cards, so that way we have something that's safe, something that's wild.
We only get 1, right?
You
I think
two.
we get 2.
Oh, we get 2? Okay. You guys want to do wild card and getaway vehicle?
I think that sounds like fun.
It sounds like it'll be interesting.
I'm down for it.
All right, we're going wild card and getaway vehicle.
I'm probably just gonna jump out of a window. Who knows? Who knows how this
And
will go?
die. And die on impact.
I for one, I can climb up walls, and I have slow.
And die on impact. Okay. So she ensures that you will have an escape of some kind set up, and additionally, she also ensures you that she will do something to aid you when the time comes. So, with that, she says that it looks like all you can do here has been completed. And she says if you wish to canvass to find a way in for one of you to sneakily, or several of you to sneakily enter into the party, you may go do so and return to her so that she can provide the sufficient amount of invitations for those of you who plan on getting in.
Okay.
You know, the legal way, like good people.
I do have a forgery kit.
I also have a forgery kit.
I have a way to magically create signatures, so it's also an option.
I have a disguise kit.
Yeah, that's cute. I've got a hood of disguise, so.
Magic is for the weak.
It's a magic item.
I have magic items too, so. But mine are practical.
I don't know how a hood of disguise is practical.
All right.
Do you guys want to travel to the estate and get there, or sorry, and canvas it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I
So-
think that Liz would want to go into the party, just knowing her as a character. She would want to go in the right way and not really sneak her way in. But just
You also
throwing that
have,
out.
don't you have glamored armor? So I mean that kind of makes it even simpler for you.
Yes, of course. But she also has a party dress at this level that is in my equipment. So
Yeah, I mean, I am planning on sneaking into the party like as a guest. That's like what James is planning on doing, disguising himself as a party member and going in that way.
well, we could be dates.
There we go.
And
Thalion can be the third wheel.
Yep. Thalia.
yeah, because wait, the two young elves wouldn't walk in together, but the elf and the half elf
No,
would.
it'd be too obvious.
True.
Some Ocean's 11.
Well, I'm gonna disguise myself anyway, like so I can.
He's gonna
like...
disguise himself as a regular elf. He's gonna just put on even pointier ears.
Yes, take off the semi-pointy, put on the real pointy.
And these are all like
how do you know the person isn't an elf cosplay if they don't have those pointy ear editions from Renaissance Fest? So, what are you gonna ask, Dylan? Or what were you gonna say?
high society bigwigs, right? At this little gathering,
I would expect so. Yes.
and definitely wants to have an invite so that he can infiltrate.
So, what about the idea of Hephaestus and Silence, like sneaking in through like the second window, like the second story, like possibly through that gazebo that he was mentioning?
I think bad idea to have Hephaestus sneak. He's not like not sneaky, but he would probably hinder. What's his face?
Yeah, I think if I go by myself, and what I can do is I can bring any gear that y'all might have trouble sneaking in there.
Mm-hmm.
I can bring that in with me.
Okay, that sounds good.
Did you bring a bag of holding?
No, but I can bring a bag. Got a bag.
he's like Santa Paws.
Oh,
Fucking boo!
go put yourself somewhere else.
like your thieves' tools and maybe not all y'all's weapons, but like.
Oh yeah, weapons. They're probably gonna take our weapons. I know they're gonna take our weapons. They have to.
I can probably bring like one weapon per person, maybe.
If I use my hood of disguise, would it disguise the fact that I even have weapons on myself?
Weapons?
I mean, I got 3 daggers on me, so
Daggers are easy to hide. They can be hidden pretty simply if they're not patting you down.
okay.
We kind of joked about this earlier, but like, what's the chance that I could like Gal Gadot my like short sword or something down the back of my dress?
Is that how you say her name, Gal Gadot?
Yeah,
Is that how you
Gail.
say it?
That is how you say it.
Whew, y'all made me worry.
I thought it was Gail Gadot.
No,
I think it's Gal Gadot.
Very much
not.
is very much 100% correct.
Huh. Just a little more rain popped over my face. So, Liz, you've got a map of the ground, and there's a variety of points of interest outside as well for the purpose of investigating. Perhaps not necessarily for entrances, but definitely worth investigating. Aside from that, as far as weapons you could sneak in, daggers are definitely an option. Smaller things like maybe a club or something like that would be an option. But anything that's basically longer than a short sword, even a short sword itself, would be impossible to get in without some kind of great excuse or et cetera, et cetera.
Do we know for sure if they're going to be like patting people down at the like coming in?
You don't know enough about the security to do that at this point. To know that.
I mean, I would infer like this guy was essentially sort of like chief of police of the guards. It sounds like I would think that it would include some sort of measure of safety like that. I don't know. I would just think so.
If I get patted down, that would kind of see through my disguise self spell, huh?
On your cloak?
Yeah, I mean, if I like put my hood up and activate my yeah.
If you have definitely reveal it, but I mean,
say that again.
If you have like fur all over your body, it would definitely reveal something. But I mean, if you just put clothing on, you'll be fine. If they touch like armor, then it feels like it's hard. You just be like, yeah, I've got muscles, man. Come on, leave me alone.
Okay.
You feeling me up, bro? You feeling me up, bro? Huh?
Okay, I got you.
You copping a feel?
But like, Liz, you have a bow, right?
I do, but I also have a short sword, and I also.
Well, I can probably bring your bow with me.
Yeah,
I can.
that'd be great.
Put that bow on me and hold your arrows.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can probably only take about 20 arrows.
I'm good. I don't need more than that. Wink.
All right.
Are you gonna take bad news?
What?
Your gun? You
You
have
have a gun?
She has a gun.
I do have a gun.
What is this contraption?
Like, I'm gonna like just cautiously say this is supposed to be a mission of espionage, and
Yes.
all of my experiences with guns have been extremely loud and very conspicuous. So I would say probably don't bring the gun.
This
Yes,
tiny
I
little-
don't like using it anyway. I'm just letting you know I have one.
This tiny little contraption makes noise.
It's
Bad-
not tiny.
Bad news is like
Is it
a like a sniper rifle, basically, right?
Oh, it's a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
It's a long gun.
It looks like a piece of junk.
Is it like a scream?
I live a primitive lifestyle. Leave me alone.
I would assume that anytime you immediately is magic anyway.
Anytime of what?
The technology more advanced than your own, you just magic anyway.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, I'm gonna say probably don't bring the gun. Bow
I
and
am
arrow or like a
fine with
crossbow
leaving
would
that.
probably be good though.
You want me to take your? I mean, do you feel comfortable trying to sneak in your thieves' tools, or do you want me to take that?
I feel comfortable like bringing them with me.
Okay. Anything, Thalion? Anything you need me to bring in?
So
I have no weapons, by the way.
Couldn't you, in theory, wild shape all of your gear to get inside the party, and then just have someone carry you in, and then wild shape like in the bathroom, back to human form?
Well, he wants to walk into the front door, right?
Yeah, just options.
so I also have a quarterstaff.
You could pass that off as a walking staff.
What I was gonna say.
Not at 120 years of age.
Well, I mean, maybe I got an arrow to the knee or something.
You're already engaged. Oh my goodness.
Can you walk with a limp?
An old school pimp.
Give me a performance check.
Yes, let's
Performance
see.
check.
Yes, let's see how well you can limp.
I'll be like, I can pass off I get all cocky. I can pass off a limp. You guys just watch, and I take my quarterstaff out, and 18.
18.
He goes to stand up and like attempts to start walking, and you see him start like hobbling leg, and like you see his like kneecap like shaking and wobbling, and you see it start kind of like sagging in an awkward direction as he kind of like limps and puts all the weight on the staff.
I mean, that's fairly convincing in my mind. Fiona, let me get your input. Does this look convincing to you?
She walks over. It's like she stands up and walks over to Thalion, looks down at his knee, and says like, "I don't know," and kicks him in the knee on the side.
Not at all what I was asking. Oh, God.
It's a very light kick, like enough to make you go like, "Oh," but not enough to make you like actually get hurt.
Oh yeah.
So we could do that.
Are you still doing it?
Probably not after having his knee almost dislocated.
Oh dang it!
I come back up and I just kind of give her a look like, what the hell?
She looks at you with a wry grin and says, "I didn't hurt you."
Well, if you want to do that, if you feel comfortable doing that.
Like I said, I also have a scimitar, but if I have my quarterstaff and I mean, I'm a caster too. I'm not super worried.
Okay. I mean, I could probably get the scimitar in. That probably wouldn't be too hard.
Festus kind of looks at his equipment and he kind of holds up his claws, and you see his claws kind of extend a little bit and kind of like make a clicking sound as they lock into place, and says, "I don't need weapons. I can handle myself even without my spells."
And I just put up a paw and then just like flex it and just razor sharp claws come out.
I bet you his claws hit for the same dice as you.
What do they hit for?
A D8.
Oh, they actually hit for more. I just have one on strike, which is D6 for me.
Yeah, but they also don't scale at all, so like it's just a feat, and that's it.
I've got feet.
Two to be exact.
Two.
I've got. That's okay. I've got rhythm.
All right, we're done with that. Okay.
All right.
I've got music.
So I guess at this point we're leaving her establishment, Fiona's establishment, heading over to the place.
Yes, it's late in the evening as you guys kind of like scale your way towards the noble district. You get to the front estate of the manor, and there are two guards kind of manning the front side. On the right side is a wrought iron fence that runs the length of the estate all the way to the back. And on the left side, you see a hedge acting as a fence for the other side of the house. You see that the estate beside the manor has no fence around it.
Okay, so there's a hedge around the actual manor where we need to get in, and the establishment next to it has no fence. So
there's a hedge on the left and a wrought iron fence on the right side, and then like a cobblestone type brick like fence on the front, like on the very front side of the house, at the front of the manor, or front of the estate rather.
All right.
Does that make sense? Basically, left is hedge, is brick, right is wrought iron, and back is sheer cliff.
All right. So
that overlooks Baldur's Gate, basically.
So new plan: bring the house down.
I go over to the fence side to examine that.
You see that there's estate on that side. You see beside that fence, it looks to be like a hedge maze on the actual estate that you can see on the map as well. And a sculpture garden is a little farther past that. And then behind the house, it looks like to be like a joust arena.
All right. So it's like house, hedge mage, sculpture garden.
So if you're looking at the map of the estate, the house occupies the very center of the estate. There is a path coming from the very front of the estate, running along up into the center. About halfway up to the house, it splits off in two different directions. On the map, it indicates a lake to the west. The hedge maze is the east, and the house is like smack dab center. Directly next to the house is a gazebo about 100 feet away from it, and then a sculpture garden about the same distance away from it. And then behind the house is a joust arena that kind of runs the entire length of the house as well.
Okay.
So if you're looking at a map, North is like the very back of the estate. South is like where you're standing at right now. East is wrought iron, and west is hedge. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
West
closest
is-
to you?
west is also the lake, right? Next
Yes,
to
the
house?
lake and the gazebo.
Okay. I don't like water.
Right, you're a cat. We got it.
So hedge mage is going to be my. That's the direction that would probably be best. If I need to go around to the other side of the house, that's going to be easy. I can just climb up.
Okay. Hephaestus kind of ponders for a minute, and he points out the gazebo and says, "Looks like an easy way in and out. Perhaps worth scoping out later. But while we're inside, perhaps you could go and look at the actual sky bridge that connects the gazebo to the house. Silence."
Perhaps.
Did you just say perhaps?
Perhaps. Perhaps.
Where there's so many puns with this character. So, do any of you want to attempt to get on the grounds without some more now, or are you just looking?
I'll get on the grounds.
I'll get on the ground.
Yeah, let's do it.
Are there any guards like going around, or is it like?
No, just the two guards sitting at the very front at the front gate.
Okay. I go over to the wrought iron fence, which is on the east, correct?
Yes, it's a 6-foot fence that runs the length of the house and connects directly to the brick wall or the cobblestone front wall, and runs the length beside it. So there's no part between either one of the yards. There's just fence connected to fence connected to fence.
Gotcha.
Basically, at a T junction is where the two estates meet and split off.
Okay. I'm gonna climb up the fence.
Alrighty, give me an acrobatics check. I guess you don't need to. You just have a climb speed.
I do have climb speed.
And in addition to that, you have slippers or spider climber. Yes.
Correct.
So you don't have to make any. You just perform this action.
Yep. It's
Nice.
more. It's a lot of pouncing. It's I kind of pounce up the wall.
Do you just Naruto run up the wall?
No. I use my hands as well.
If you're a cat person, are they really hands? They're more like paws, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and put up my hood of disguise and disguise myself as one of the guards.
Okay.
And I guess while he's going on to the property, I want to walk up to one of the guards that's standing at the gate.
Okay.
As side note to Ian, the DM, when is this party supposed to happen?
Tomorrow evening.
Tomorrow evening? Okay, that's what I thought. Cool. So I'm gonna approach the guards that are at the gate.
Hephaestus is going to cast Disguise Self.
Okay.
He's going to cast Disguise Self to make him look like Captain Darnax, which is a minimal effort on his part as well. And then he casts Minor Illusion as he approaches to make himself sound like Captain Darnax.
Son of a bitch. I feel like this is gonna, him being Captain Darnax is gonna moot the thing that I was gonna try to do.
Maybe, possibly. What's your idea? Because he would have waited to ask you before you just started walking up there.
Well, I'm going to ask the guards up front. I'm going to be like, "Hey guys, sorry, I'm a complete fuck up, but I completely forgot. What were the boss's instructions for running security for tomorrow?"
That would have fucked things up horrendously.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been almost too comical to play out.
Good
I
try.
almost regret being meta about this, but you would have probably discussed it beforehand.
Right.
So, Liz, which way are you trying to get into the house as these two approach and doing their thing?
I don't really think I want to do that. I think I would like to follow our cat friend.
That's what I'm asking you. So you attempt to follow him?
Yeah, so I'm gonna jump over the fence, I guess.
Just give me an acrobatics check. Do you have Maddox with you?
17. And yes, I have Maddox with me.
Okay. Yeah, you're able to easily scale the fence, following closely behind the tabaxi. So have Maddox go ahead and make the same acrobatics check as you. Well, it's not the same roll, just make an acrobatics check.
Where is his character sheet? I know he can do it. I can't find his sheet. Oh, here it is. Okay, that was a 12 on his part, actually.
He does it effectively but slowly.
Unless you take an athletics, in which it would be 13.
I don't think it makes a huge difference.
Either way, he does it. He gets over it.
And how are you going to go about doing this to Italian? You will have most of it between this session and next. Just so that you don't feel the need to, be conservative with your wild shapes if you don't want to. Dylan?
Dylan? You're back.
Can you?
Sorry. I'm not gonna use up any wild shapes. I think I'm just gonna try to jump the fence as well.
Alrighty, go ahead and give me an acrobatics check.
I was gonna say, can you just wild shape into like a mouse?
Okay. I'm thinking, you said it's tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's tomorrow evening.
Yeah,
So
then
you'll
I'm totally gonna wild shape. Can I just wild shape into a bird and fly over the fence?
Yeah, easily. What kind of bird
Just
are you?
a small
Falcon?
bird. No,
Hawk, maybe?
nothing super assuming, like super conspicuous. Just like a little, I don't know,
An
like a
owl,
sparrow.
Or a barn owl, maybe?
I
Is it
will
not
be
an
a
owl?
barn owl. I will be a barn owl.
Dirty pigeon.
They are wise.
You wild shape into a bird, and I immediately have the instinct to pounce on you.
Man, you're really rolling into this, aren't you?
I was about to say they needed to make dog folk, and then I thought to myself that Mr. Peanut Butter does not need to be a playable character.
I'm Mr. Peanut Butter.
They really did nail dogs just would be if they were people.
Oh man, I love Mr. Peanut Butter.
Definitely a barn owl, and I'm just gonna
Hoot over.
fly over the fence. Yeah, just hoot on over.
This bitch is empty. Hoot.
Oh.
More like this bitch empty. Tweet.
Yes!
This is all canceled.
I'm so sorry.
I see Liz trying to follow me, and I'm just like, do try to keep up.
She's probably a little faster than you.
I am actually really, really fast, I
How
think.
fast are you? How fast?
I can move 35 feet at one time, but then I don't know. I know I got something else somewhere in all these papers that made me go faster. Ian knows more than I do.
Gotta go
Okay.
Right.
fast.
I have 45 feet of movement, and
He's a
in one round,
monkey. He is faster than you.
in one round I can move 90 feet.
I can move.
She's really
Okay.
not. She's not like significantly slower than you.
All right.
It's like
Alright.
10 feet, it's like 10 feet every 6 seconds.
Yeah. So I'm not that much slower. I'm a few paces.
The panther is faster than you for fucking. That panther's quick, and as long as the panther's there, Liz.
Actually, what I do is whenever we get over the fence, I tell her to look around the grounds and survey the area and everything, and I'm going to head over to the house and climb up, and I'm gonna look for entry points.
Okay. Liz, are you gonna want to cast any spells or anything like that to kind of facilitate this stealthing around?
Gosh, I'm always like scared to say this word out loud. Primeval? Primeval?
Primeval awareness?
Primeval, okay. Primeval.
No,
All
I
right.
don't believe that's what it does. Do you have you have the spell Pass Without a Trace by chance?
I do. I've never used it.
And I use 2 key points and cast Pass Without Trace on myself too.
I don't believe the spell's effects stack. So do you want to have her just cast it, or you want to use your key points?
Oh, can she cast it? Can you cast it on multiple targets?
I believe it's an AoE spell.
Yeah,
I think I can just use it on my group.
You just have to stay within a certain amount of feet of her.
Ha! You ain't going fast.
30 feet? No, I'm going away from you. I cast it on myself.
Each creature you choose has 10 stealth checks and can't be tracked except by magical means. This effect only applies if the creature is within 30 feet of you. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna be climbing up the building. She's gonna be on the ground. I'm just gonna cast it on myself.
Okay. Sounds good. So you both can add 10 to your stealth checks. Go ahead and roll them.
Okay.
Rachel, don't forget you have a Cloak of Elven Kind, so you roll this plus 10 at advantage. Well, whatever your stealth check is, plus 10 at advantage.
Okay. That was a 19 total.
What is your base stealth? Plus 9?
Wait, my base stealth is 10.
You get a plus 10 by default?
Oh, wait. No, sorry. I said that wrong. I was looking at the number 10 up. Okay, my stealth is a 5.
Yeah, so that doesn't sound right either, Rachel. Your dexterity is 5, plus 5. Are you not proficient in stealth?
No, I'm not.
15. You get plus 15 to your roll.
I'm not proficient in any of my dexterity things. Whatever.
I rolled a 36 on my stealth, by the way.
Okay, well, I rolled a 4 at advantage. Plus 5, plus 10. So that's how I got a 19.
You rolled that low twice?
Yes, I rolled a 3 the first time and then a second time.
So yeah, 19.
Wow.
So, 19, which is still pretty good for having rolled a 4.
Oh, yeah.
With some...
But we're at... She's like sneaking around and I just disappear.
Going.
So Thalion, you're kind of surveying the area above, and you're seeing that there is a variety of locations around. Go ahead and give me a perception check based off of the owl's perception.
Okay, would I not use my... Can I use my passive perception for this?
I believe that the owl perception check is superior to yours. It might
passive is a 17. I would have to check.
I think the owl's going to have probably pretty high passive perception. I know you keep like your mental stats when you're playing an animal, but I also think that like perception is not necessarily like I feel like the owls. You know what? Go ahead and roll just your perception. See if you get higher than your passive, and roll it at advantage because you're an owl. There's definitely a proper way to do that, and this is definitely not it, I'm sure, but this is fine for now.
I don't have the page in front of me right this second. I'm not gonna. Okay.
They just have perception as a skill. That's it.
18.
Yes, it is 18 at advantage. So you got 1 point higher than your passive.
Yeah, so the second time was a 9, so 18.
Okay. You're gonna notice a variety of things. See what's going on here. So you explain this plan to Hephaestus then?
Yeah. I'm basically gonna tell him like, all right, so look, here's the mark that we're doing. Both of us overslept. We missed the meeting as to what the plan for security is tomorrow. We don't want to look like assholes in front of Captain Darnax. So we're just gonna try to see if these guys will give us a quick rundown of what security is gonna look like.
He thinks about it for a second and says, like, I like that. We should also keep tabs on where Darnax is in the event that he's here, because I don't feel like getting my wings chopped off and my leg sliced in twain.
You know, I also don't feel like getting my wing chopped off and my arm. I don't feel like getting chopped up either. All right, let's do this. And so I put my hood up and I disguise myself as a guard, and we walk up.
Yeah, he's gonna go ahead and cast Disguise Self, and he's going to cast Minor Illusion to make his face appear more human, as close as you can get it to. I mean, Disguise Self will definitely help that as a spell, but he's using Minor Illusion also to supplement that.
Okay.
Right. So you approach, and the two guards sitting there. You see a half-orc guard and a human guard, and you see the half-orc guard is taking a nap, leaned up against the booth. And the human guard is playing what looks to be like a card game on the table by himself. He's got his halberd like leaned up against his shoulder. He approached and he kind of like looks up and he says, "Oi, what you doing outside the gates?"
Oh man, I am so sorry. We completely messed up, dude, and God, fucking Captain Darnax is gonna fucking kill us, but we missed the meeting as far as security for tomorrow night goes. And man, we can't afford another strike against us. Otherwise, it's going to be... I mean, you saw that guy. He fucking chopped off that Dragolich's wing off, dude. Like, so can you guys just be a pal? Like, run us through, like, what the plan was for tomorrow.
He kind of glances at you and says, I'm not really sure that I can just talk about it outside the gates. Come on inside and we'll discuss it over a hot cup of joe here because Lagersh is asleep. You see the orc kind of like shake and his helmet spins on the side of his head and he's like, oh.
Come on, fucking Lagerth, get your wits about you. Come on, man.
He glances at you and he kind of like rubs his eyes and he says, I've never heard your voice before. And you see you see what's his face Hephaestus kind of step forward and says, be quiet, and leans in and attempts to intimidate him. 27.
That's pretty intimidating.
The half-orc kind of like sits up straight and says, who are you? You see him kind of grab the top of the helmet, and his claws dig into the helmet, and says, "In charge of you." And he goes, "Yes, sir." And he leans back in the chair. Hephaestus looks over at the other guard, and says, "Let us in." He says, "Like, I was planning to, but if you're gonna put it that way."
Apologies for my friend here. He's ever since we overslept and missed that meeting, you know, we've both been on edge. So my apologies for my friend here. But if we could just go inside and get caught up, I think both of us, our minds could be put at ease a little bit.
He says, "Yeah, absolutely." He turns around to the gate and like swings it open for you guys to step in. And he starts walking down and he says, like, "So what I'm expecting for as far as security goes tomorrow, each section of the house is going to have about 5 or so guards patrolling each floor, and Captain Darnax has been carrying keys for the conference room in the event that you need to get in there to rearm yourself and check on the item." He kind of like looks at you. "I plan on it being," he says, "moved in the middle of the party. It's not for sale, and we don't want to have any grubby mitts attempting to pilfer it while it sits there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He says, as far as traps go, you can expect a couple of nasty things to be on the side of the actual party. Nothing harmful, just, a little bit of fairy fire, a little blindness here, a little alarm. But once we move it upstairs, it's going to have some nasty things on it for the evening. Once it moves, it's not going to be quite as safe, until we at least get it to where it's going.
Absolutely. If they're getting that far, they are having some ill motives, it seems.
As for Captain, he says, as for Captain Darnax, you can expect to find him on top of the second floor, or really on the landing between floors 1 and 2 all evening. He'll be right there. He kind of like creates the shape of the stairs with his hands and emphasizes the landing and points there and says, right in front of the book all evening. He kind of like makes a finger to indicate where the pedestal is in the center and says, like, if you look at right here, the book will be here, and Darnax will be about 10 feet from it all evening. He said it in the meeting, and he made this in particular gesture several times so that we knew that if you needed to find him for any kind of danger or anything like that, he'd be easy to find.
Sounds good.
He says, as for the Squire Elias, if you need anything from him, he'll be taking care of some business with the master. He's not to be bothered. As far as the master goes, you can find him inside of his study. And the lady of the house will be about, doing as she pleases. I don't really know where to find her, but if you have any questions, I'm sure you could ask Darnax or Elias where she is.
Right.
He says, as for the entrances to the house, the gazebo is going to be guarded. There'll be a party out there on the outside. They'll be playing a couple of card games out there. And then the sculpture garden, as well as the crypt entrance, will be blocked and locked. No guards. It just leads on to the basement. There's nothing down there. Just storage, really. If you need the key, go seek.
He said the crypt was... What did he say? It was not going to be guarded? It was going to be just locked? The crypt?
In the sculpture garden.
Crypt and sculpture guarded.
He says, as for the man's supposed to be coming tomorrow morning to kind of tidy it up. Expect to have him here at 8 o'clock, and he's meant to be watched and not left unguarded while he cleans up, lest he find the trap door.
Who said who was going to be there at 8 o'clock?
A sculpture garden artist.
Okay.
He says, leave the drain inside the... Don't open it up unless we absolutely have to. It's a bit of a secret entrance into the safe room in the basement.
Okay.
He says there will be about 5 guards inside the actual safe room at all times. In the event that they are called out, they will be used as, I guess you could say, infantry in the event that a thief or anyone who attempts to break in will take the book.
If anybody's that stupid.
He laughs and says, oh, that's the funny thing, is that the master expects someone to take the book. Melodian's wife, he's back in town. I have to expect her to be causing trouble.
Yeah.
Hephaestus goes, who? He says, Melodian, the man found dead in his apartment. Hephaestus blinks a couple times. Hephaestus looks at you. James.
I say, no, never mind him. He's a little bit, he's not a little right in the brain.
He kind of looks and says, well, he's Dragonborn. He's just strange is all. Captain Darnax is like that. The man, he'll spend there like an hour eating beef jerky and picking the pieces out with his claws. It's not a bit weird.
Fair enough.
You see Hephaestus kind of look at the claw. Never considered that. He kind of he seems to poking his teeth with his claws. He's like, wow, that slides right in.
Thanks, I hate it.
The guard kind of like pauses and is like, very strange. No, as for Arena, there'll be only but one game tomorrow evening, and expect the house to be out there at 8 p.m. for that excellent game. Captain Darnax is going to be challenging a mighty warrior that he handpicks from the crowd to win an object from the gallery for free, if you would.
Any idea what that item is, or did they say?
An item of their choosing.
Fair.
He turns finally for the gazebo. In addition to there being a party out there, he'd like for us to mention that the doors leading to the house are to remain locked at all times.
All right.
If they wish to come in, they must go in through the front checkpoint. He says, "Oh, not to mention this little bad boy." He kind of holds up a little ring, not a ring. It's like a little pendant. And he says, "An anti-magic device. Anytime you touch somebody with it, it instantly turns them into whatever it is they're trying to hide." He like taps Hephaestus on the face with it. Hephaestus's magic is instantly canceled out. The guy kind of like pauses and goes like, you see Hephaestus cast silence around you guys, and he jumps on the guy.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You see Hephaestus breathe basically a line of acid into the guy's.
God damn it.
And then a save. Crit fail. So he takes 12 plus 3 is 15. Takes 15 points of acid damage, and the guy's face melts in.
Oh, fucking hell.
Nice.
Alrighty.
Hephaestus stands up and like looks at you with a look.
Is silence still around us?
Yes.
I'm going to mouth to him, "Well, pick up the fucking body, you big fucking lizard. We're gonna take it with us."
He looks at you and he kind of like taps the muscle on his arm, and then he goes that he does like the symbol for like, "I don't have that."
I don't have...
like hold it.
I don't have what? You're just gonna physically pick him up. I'm making this like big mime emotions, basically. Like, pick him up, throw him over your shoulder, and let's get the fuck out of here.
He cocks an eyebrow and he goes, like he understands, and he casts polymorph on the body, and it polymorphs into a dead sheep.
I put my head in my hands, shake my head, but then just motion to come on, let's go.
He like picks up the sheep and he casts prestidigitation to clean the blood all off of it. And he like pulls out his bag and he pulls out a ribbon and ties it around the sheep's neck. He dispels silence. He's like, "A gift."
A gift for who?
If we get caught with the dead body of a sheep, it's a lot less suspicious with the dead body of a human. He kind of looks at the sheep's head, which is still completely eradicated, and he's like, "I can fix that."
Can you fix that?
He kind of like picks up the anti-magic like amulet that was in the guy's hand, and he's like, "That's important to know."
Yeah, that's very fucking important to know. Huh, Hephaestus. Let's go.
He looks at you and he's like, "How is this?"
I don't know. It's not your fault. Come on, let's just go. The longer we stand here, the longer we have a chance of getting caught. Let's get the fuck out of here without being seen and just go.
He is just like, "Back through the front gate."
No, not back through the front gate. We gotta sneak the fuck out now.
He looks at you and he says, "Fuck that! I can't be mullered with that. We're going out the front gate. Doesn't walking in that direction."
All right, fine. We're gonna go at the front gate.
He walks over and like opens up the gate, and the half orc is sitting there, kind of looks and turns, looks at him, and you see Hephaestus cast charm on the guy. Will a save. 4 total. He fails. The guy stands up and like holds the pike for a second, and Hephaestus like kind of basically like waves his hand to cast the spell, like leave me the fuck alone. And the guy, you see the guy go rigid, and he's like, "Have a good evening."
Is
Hephaestus tosses the sheep into the guy's hand. And
Hephaestus?
says, "Get rid of that."
Hephaestus is not still disguised, though, right?
No.
But I am. I still have my hood up. I've had my hood up this entire time.
Yes.
Okay. And we're just gonna head back over to the traipsing pony.
Okay.
We'll let the rest of the party do their thing, and we're gonna, go sit and reevaluate what we've done with our lives, and just kind of go from there.
Alrighty. So Dylan, you still there, man? You alive, buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dylan, you spot inside the sculpture garden, what looks to be like a small, not sculpture garden. You spot inside the maze, what looks to be like a separated garden-like center. And you see what looks to be like a large dog of some sort chained to a tree, and you see the dog is sitting upon what looks to be like a large metal grate. You're flying right over the top of it, which kind of like defeats the purpose of a maze, so it's just easy to see.
Right.
So, Eric, you're scaling across the top of the house. What floor do you go up to? Do you climb up to the second or third floor?
I climb up. What I'm doing is I'm climbing up to the second floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to like the windows and stuff, and I'm checking for
Latches.
I'm checking for latches, and I'm checking to see which windows would be the best to go into on the second floor. I feel like the second floor is going to be, well, the third floor might be better to get into, but I'm going to check the third floor as well, but I'm checking the second floor first.
Mm-hmm. So you scale up to the second floor, and you see that the second floor, the front windows for the house, there's probably about 8 of them. You see that 2 of them sit on the far outside, 2 kind of like left and right, like mid, and then 2 directly in the mid.
Okay.
You see that the 4 that basically are situated directly smack dab in the center are suspended over like basically just the first floor. Like there's no second floor where those windows are. It kind of is like an open U-shaped horseshoe that just drops straight down to the second floor. I mean the first floor. It looks like a chandelier hangs from the center area, and that chandelier is suspended by chains that connect to the roof of the second floor. It looks like the outside windows all connect to what looks to be like a U-shaped pathway that skirts the edge of several rooms on the second floor. So basically, there's like a banister that like looks over the first floor. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And there's like a big empty expanse in the center.
Is that banister like the whole second floor?
Yes. There are several rooms that are like closed from where you're looking at on the second floor. If you're sitting in the center, basically to your left, you see the layout of what was that office, that guest bedroom, and then the sitting room in the far back left that connects to the gazebo walkway. And then to your right, you know that pretty much that entire second floor is the greenhouse. You can actually climb over to the side of the greenhouse and look inside through the windows.
Okay.
Do Tabaxi have dark vision? I believe so, right?
Yes, I can't see colors in dark vision though.
I don't think anyone can.
I don't know. I see blobs of gray. It specifically says that too.
So you look inside and you see it's a greenhouse with like plants and things like that. That seems kind of entirely unnecessary to have in the house. So that's what you see in the second. If you scale around the left side in the windows on the second, they all have curtains drawn on them.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Basically, if you skirt around to like the gazebo side of the house, you see that those all have curtains drawn, and you can't see inside of the individual rooms. If you get too close to the gazebo, you see guards walking across the gazebo's pathway. 2 on the end in the gazebo itself, and then one's like who's pacing the gazebo.
Okay. But the gazebo is on the second floor, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and that gazebo. Oh, okay. And that goes into the hallway that kind of looks over the first floor, or that
Yep.
goes into the room. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Like basically, you would step inside from that gazebo walkway, and it connects into like a sitting room area that you can tell that was in like on the drawing of the map you got of the house. And then the sitting room area opens up onto that banistered walkway that skirts the second floor.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm gonna go climb up some more. Go to the third floor. And-
So you start to ascend upwards, and as you like start walking, you feel a little bit nauseous for a second, and then you realize that. So you're scaling like you would normally. You notice that after a couple of paces, you realize you're now back on the first like floor, only like 3 feet from the ground. It looks like you've been magically teleported back down to the base of the house.
All right, second floor it is. Okay, I'm gonna climb back up to the second floor. I remember the layout because I looked over the layout of the place. Which windows went into which rooms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what were the rooms again? Like there was a study.
On the second floor.
Yeah, on the second floor.
So the left side of the house has these rooms in it. It's going to have, let's see here, an office closest to the front end of the house with 2 windows on it, and then a guest bedroom that has a fireplace attached to it that runs up the entire length of the house. And then you see sitting room to the gazebo, and there's like a small balcony area just outside of the sitting room as well.
Are there curtains on there?
No.
Okay, and is this the gazebo side?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
And the back side of the house has windows, basically parallel to the front side of the house.
gotcha. So what was the room again?
Sitting area?
Sitting
area? Yeah.
Okay. Now you said
So give me a perception check.
okay. Oh man. Gonna take my passive?
Yeah.
16.
So you see, wrapped around the handles of the gazebo entrance, it looks like there's like a small like sachet tied around a letter that kind of like ties the door shut.
Okay, so there's something like tying the door shut to the
It's
sitting
like a
room?
little room with a letter tied and pressed up against the handles of the entrance.
I read the letter.
So you pull the letter free, or do you like untie the whole thing?
Can I sleight of hand it to where I can read the letter and not untie it?
Yes. Go ahead and roll.
What is that?
You tell me.
No, 15.
Oh, okay. So you like slide the letter free, and you hear the sounds of footsteps walking up, and like as you kind of like back away from the door, a hand grabs the handle and like shakes the door. This guy's standing about like 3 feet from you and doesn't notice you.
I just slowly move back and then like Spider-Man climb up the wall to right above the door.
Spider-Man.
The guy kind of like pauses and like looks at and like look if he's noticed something, and he kind of looks directly at you, flips on what looks to be like a little everlasting torch. It flicks into life, and he kind of like starts scanning the roof. And he kind of like the light passes right over you. Like he literally puts the light on you, just walks it past you, keeps walking away. He turns around and he shouts, "I didn't say anything!" And the guy was like, "I swear to God, I saw a fucking owl flying around. Them bitches eating the goddamn cats like they're fucking food. We've lost 2 kittens this week. Well, if he'd stop leaving them outside." They walk away.
Okay. I gingerly fall back onto the ground. And go back to the letter. See what it says.
Yeah, you had the letter in your hand actually.
Oh, okay. I'll just stay on the wall and read it.
Like Spider-Man, you just like pull your front 2 hands off of it, just like lean up against the back of it, against the wall. So the letter feels mildly heavy, like there's something placed inside of the actual envelope as you kind of like cut it open with your talons and like flip the letter open. There's like a little wax seal keeping it shut. The wax seal bears the emblem of Ludwig's house, and on it it says, "To my love, a key from my heart, but also to my bedroom."
Oh. So, does this name have... Whoa, hold up. He's got a wife. So he's cheating on his wife too.
No, it's definitely signed. It's signed EL or ES. Sorry, ES.
Okay. So, do I know where his bedroom is?
The master bedroom's on the 3rd floor.
On the 3rd floor.
Mhm.
Oh, I pocket that key, and I just pocket the letter as well.
Mhm.
And I'll dispose of it whenever I leave.
Okay.
Then I go. So, my options for getting in are going to be like you said, the sitting area I can see into,
Mhm.
and then there's a bedroom with the fireplace. Is that the fireplace that goes to the basement?
Yes.
Okay.
In addition to that, you also know about all the windows you can probably just, slice and suction cup. We all know cats are liquid, so you can fit into things that you shouldn't be able to fit into.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty. So, are you finished with the house?
Yeah, I'm finished with the house. I climb back down, acrobatics my way back over the fence, and head back to. I'm guessing we're meeting at a tavern. I assume we would have talked about it. Prancing Pony, is that it?
Yeah. No, that's the name of the.
I don't know. I heard Prancing Pony.
Traipsing Pony.
Traipsing Pony.
Prancing Pony is the name of the inn and Lord of the Rings.
Hey, I knew that.
Well, I head over to the meeting place.
I ran an entire D&D one-shot based off of that one inn for a little bit.
Yeah.
I had the Nazgul chase you, Eric. That was the one session you guys crit like 4 guys back to back that were fighting you. And I was like, okay, we're done. We're done for the night. So, Liz, you are running along the yard. Where do you want to go?
I didn't really think about it.
I didn't think I'd get this far.
I'm not entirely sure what I don't really know what I had in mind because I plan on the door like a party guest. I guess I just wanted to like inspect the grounds in case like to just kind of be familiar with the outside because I'm thinking our escape vehicle is going to come from the outside. So
you wanted to find a path to get out quickly once you guys get outside?
maybe so. I just was kind of looking to do more like an overall ground inspection so that way I would be familiar outside the house as well as inside the house.
Okay, give me a nature check. Or survival. Sorry, survival.
Oh. Are you sure?
You can give me a nature check.
Yay. It is a 17.
So, you spend some kind of like looking around the house. You notice that the lake is artificial.
Oh. Rich
It
people.
looks like the lake is being constantly formed from basically a create water spell that is pumping the water in at the base of the lake.
Hmm.
You see that there is a hatch at the bottom of the lake from this spell, and it looks like there's like a wheel on the at the bottom of the water that would deactivate the spell, and you could then lift the hatch.
So I'm seeing this through the water.
Mhm.
At night.
You have dark vision.
Okay.
At night.
At night.
This isn't just your average everyday night. It's
This is
advanced night. So next you go to the gazebo, and you don't notice a whole lot of anything interesting about the gazebo, other than the guard patrols around it.
Mhm.
As you're kind of like making your way over there, you see Hephaestus and what must be James walking down the aisle or walking down the way, and you see a guy reach forward and tap Hephaestus on the head. You see Hephaestus's disguise disappear, and all of a sudden, like the noise you can hear from it, there just stops being noise, and you see Hephaestus jump on the guy, just breathe acid into the guy's face, while James is throwing his hands up, looking exasperated.
Oh no. But I guess I can't hear them, so that's a good thing.
You see James is obviously barraging Hephaestus with all kinds of rude body signs and
Do they then leave?
yeah, you see Hephaestus transform a guy into a sheep for whatever reason, pull out a bow and tie it around the thing's neck, and you see James shake his head as they turn to walk away.
So they're like leaving the estate.
Yes.
I feel like I should leave as well. Not only because I have questions, but because there will be questions. Questions all around. I'm going to leave. I guess I'll try to follow
Okay.
them.
Sure.
With Maddox, I guess. I guess he's following me if he's not like drinking lake water or something.
Lake water.
That sounds like a not smart thing to drink. So
Call it fake water.
fake water, lake water. Lake fake water.
Did you say vitamin water?
Yes.
Soda? So
It's got the things that plants crave.
you guys all exit the estate eventually. Dylan, I would assume that since you've kind of been spying around, watching the entire events, you would have definitely seen the events that transpired between Hephaestus and James and that one guard.
Definitely, and when I see them go to leave, I'm gonna fly in that direction.
Mm-hmm. So after about an hour of departing, and everyone kind of trickling into the inn, you guys finally all get together and meet back downstairs inside the inn.
I've got a very strong drink in my hand, in my head, in my hand.
You see the lady kind of is sitting at the table when you guys get back, and she's like, "So, what'd you find out? Why don't we start with?" She kind of like looks and thinks and goes like, "What about you, Thalion? What did you find out about the estate?"
Decided to take an aerial approach to things, so I got a good feel for the layout of the and any sort of obstacles we might encounter, and I noticed there was a large hedge maze, and at the center of it there seemed to be some kind of dog, from what I could see, chained up to a tree.
Hephaestus kind of scratches at the end of his snout and says, "What do you think that he's guarding in a maze? Maybe he's guarding the Minotaur."
I think it seems fairly straightforward. He's probably guarding another magic. It seems like Ludwig has a very vast array of magical items, so there's probably a magical item out there that is protecting.
A dog. A dog is protecting a valuable magic item. Hephaestus looks at you with doubt.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Top-notch defense. Is able to defend a city from a Draco. Can't protect his boots of levitation.
James just kind of shrugs and just goes back to drinking.
So the lady nods her head and goes, "Excellent. What about you, James? What did you and who did you go with?"
I brought Hephaestus with me, or he came with me. I don't know if I necessarily brought him with me, but that was the plan. We disguised ourselves, managed to get a full-on tour of the majority. It seemed like the majority of the building, and got a lot of information about the security of the place. What all was discussed? 5 guards in each section on each floor. Was that what they said?
5 guards on each floor.
5 guards on each floor.
Mm-hmm.
Darnax has keys to everything, and he's going to be on the 2nd floor on the landing, about 10 feet from the book at all times. Second, was the 2nd floor that has like some of like the weaker like magic traps, the like fairy fire and blindness and other stuff. But like the closer you get to like the 3rd floor, the more deadly the traps become. Elias is going to be taking care of business with the Baron. Baron is going to be in the study. The gazebo will be guarded and the doors will be locked on the gazebo, right? The crypt and the sculpture garden entrances, however, will not be guarded. They'll just be locked. They're supposed to having a sculpture garden artist come in at 8.
Hedge maze.
Hedge maze. I don't know why I said sculpture garden artist. Hedge mage artist. They're
come in and tidy up the hedge maze.
Tidy up the hedge maze. There is going to be 1 match over at the jousting arena at 8 as well, and Darnax is going to be fighting, and if somebody bests him, they get to take a magic item of their choice. Let's see. Oh, the biggest thing that we learned about, and I don't know if I have it or if Festus has it.
He probably gave it to you.
Is this. They're all going to have these anti-magic pendants, and it's basically you tap us on something magical and it goes away like that. And we learned that the hard way, didn't we?
Saladin kind of like not Saladin. God dang it. Hephaestus is twiddling his thumbs and kind of like looks over at you ashamedly and says, "I mean, to be fair, now we have one."
Would I know if this would be able to be used to help us take out magical traps?
Do you want to ask Hephaestus? I can do an Arcana check with him.
Yeah, definitely.
18. He says, "Yeah, maybe if you want to give me some time to study it and see how it works, perhaps I could figure something out. I think it might work. Depends on what kind of magic we're talking about here. He says I only cast a simple disguise self spell and then minor illusion. It's not like it was dispelling anything that was like, prismatic sphere."
Right.
He tosses it back on the table.
Yeah. Go ahead and take a look at that over and see what you can find out for us, and maybe that might be helpful for disarming some magic traps, especially when we get closer to the 3rd floor. Or
She nods her head and says, "That's good work, you two. What about you? Mr. Silence? What do you find out?
I just throw the note that I found on the table and then pull out the key, like sleight of hand it into my hand,
Okay.
and I'm like, found a key to the master bedroom.
Fetch just kind of like reaches forward and like picks up the note and goes like, "Ugh," and makes a face and like slides it back across the table for others to read if they want to.
I casually pick it up and start reading.
And you can tell that it's the lady wrote a letter to the halfling.
Interesting.
What does it say exactly?
It says, "Here is a key to my heart, my love, but more importantly, my room."
And I think the best room for me to go into is probably going to be either the study or the guest bedroom.
Alrighty. She nods her head and says, "About you, Elizabeth? Anything of use?"
I mostly just scoped out the grounds, so that way I would have the inside and the outside. I would really only say the particular thing of interest that I learned before I got distracted with a dragonborn and a half elf and a sheep with a bow was that the lake is man-made and it's being run by some sort of spell, I guess. I forgot what she said the name of the spell was. So it's being run by that spell, and there's a hatch at the bottom of it.
She kind of scratches her face and says, "So it sounds like there's possibly a way into the estate from several locations on it, including perhaps the sculpture garden and the maze, and then finally the gazebo and the lake. Interesting. Very interesting. Well, however you choose to tackle, I was able to forge a couple of invitations. We plan on going into the front door. Who is that exactly?"
Me.
And me.
As well.
It should be everybody but me.
She says, "Well, that's good, I suppose. Leave one of you to do the dirty work. Each of you set up. Perhaps prepare yourselves and meet and greet and press some palms, yes? Enjoy the evening. It is an auction, after all. Perhaps get yourself something nice while you're there. So, do you have any questions for me?"
Did we ever find out how much this job is paying?
10
I
grand.
don't. Oh.
Oh,
10 grand?
She nods her head. She says, "If I get the book."
Alrighty.
She says, "If there's one useful thing about necromancy, is that death is not particularly permanent, especially not for a mage as powerful as my husband." You see Hephaestus point a finger. "If he's so strong, what killed him? Like, how did he die?" And she says, kind of like with venom in her mouth, she says, "Betrayal."
Both in character and out of character, I'm going to say, this all sounds vaguely like foreshadowing.
She looks at you and says, "If I wanted you dead, it would have happened long before you even sat at my table." You see Sal go like, "Ooh." Shake his hands, like all mock frightened. He leans back in the chair and says, like, "I'm pretty sure my brother could handle something like you. And I'm stronger than him, so don't worry about it. We're not afraid of you." And she says, "Well, Master Dragon, I don't expect you to be afraid of me. I expect you to get paid by me if you do your work. Do any of you have any questions about the terms?
No, we get you the Necronomicon. You give us 10 gold, 10 grand gold.
10 gold.
10 gold. That's it. I'm cheap. I like to do jobs for fun. I'm a hero for fun.
All right, Saitama.
I'm just a guy who's a hero for fun.
God, it's so good.
Ian,
Yes.
I was surveying the land around the house. Would I have noticed any place that seems secluded?
Yes. Back behind the house in itself, there doesn't seem to be too much back there. Between the joust arena and the actual house, it's just like a small, like little sitting garden that doesn't have anything in it. Just a couple trees and a few benches and like a table.
Okay.
Seemed quite solitary.
To forge something for me?
What do you ask her?
Can you copy the handwriting that's on this note?
She looks at the note, the love letter, you mean? Dylan, do you mean the love letter? I'm not hearing him. Anybody hearing him?
Nope.
Yeah. He means a love letter.
Okay. So she kind of says, I think I could do something like that, yes.
Could you write something that says, as soon as possible?
She ponders on it for a moment. Some time and precision, yes. I suppose this could be something within my power. I'll have it ready for you in the morning. She kind of grins at you slightly. Says, I like the way you think, Elf. She's also an elf. I don't know why she call you Elf. She kind of like picks up the note and says, if you need me, I'll be in my quarters. Help yourself to any food up in the tavern and find my patrons. She steps away.
All right. So I guess we're going back up to the bar and just kind of...
Yep. I mean, I think that's all I have really planned for you this evening, unless you guys have anything else you want to do.
No. Unless we want to really like nail down what the plan is, or do we want to do that next time?
We can do it off time as well. Really, it's up to you guys how you want to approach the situation.
True. Yeah, we could do that like off recording.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to part 1 of Lord's Heist. Looking forward to the actual crime and punishment that's coming. Insert Lenny face. So, thank you guys again. Tune in next week for the episode. Thank you so much, and keep rolling.